Manspot. Let's do this. 3, 2, 1. What is up? Welcome to Cutting Up. I am your host Mac, and I want to thank you for checking out this content. And we're gonna get straight into this one. I am in vacation mode, getting ready to go on a vacation. Need to do a maintenance shave and some body grooming, and I decided, you know what better time to check out a new product. This is Manspot's men's premium body trimmer. I'm not sure why they specified men's. It's kind of in the name Manspot. Maybe they are gonna have a female version. Anyway, we're gonna test this out. If you're not familiar with these devices, these are devices meant for body grooming specifically. They usually have some kind of safeguard technology to make it that once you go shaving, especially more sensitive areas, that you will not end up cutting yourself and save yourself a trip to the ER. So I'm a big fan of these products, or at least the idea of these products. Some of them don't end up delivering on what they promise, but the promise is that the safeguard will make it that you can do the kind of grooming in your sensitive areas. So full disclosure, the hamburger meat is coming out. Just be warned. I am gonna test this on the upper torso, see what it can handle as far as that before taking it into any sensitive areas, because of course, if it can't handle my chest, I'm definitely not taking it below the waist. But you already know our style here at Cutting Up. We start with just looking at it in the box, and it is a simple black and white aesthetic that they went for here. Seems kind of high-end. There is some simple information on the side. Opening up the device, they will get into an area right there that gives you access to the needs help service. So you have the QR code you can scan with a smart device, and also a contact number, as in a phone number that you can text. Sometimes you need extra resources other than the manual. Opening it up, we get our first look at the device, but let's see what's inside the box. And we have the little fancy packaging, or by environmental standards, a waste. Little plastic individually wrapped bags. So this is just a micro USB. It looks like we have 2 combs, another one of these using the double-sided combs, which is a nice touch and innovation. There we have the instructions. Getting into the instructions really quickly, this is kind of a hybrid of the booklet and the fold-out one. The fold-out one are usually the ones I'm really not a fan of. What I will say is that they have, again, the QR code for you to be able to scan to register the device and also to get information. The booklet, what I will say is the illustrations are done very well. Even though it is just black and white, they are very clear on what they're talking about. This goes straight into the meat and potatoes of how to use the product. One thing that I did notice briefly reading through the user's guide is it does tell you on the box and in the user's guide that it will have 90 minutes of runtime, which is a decent amount of time, shorter than some other trimmers, but definitely enough to get through a grooming session. But it doesn't tell you how long it takes to get to full charge. I'm hoping that the light on there will at least indicate when it is at full charge, but I kind of read through this. It tells you that it is 90 minutes on a full charge, but doesn't tell you how long it takes to get to said full runtime, which is a little bit of a weird one. Hopefully they do answer that somewhere in the customer service. Won't hold it too much points against them. We'll open up the charger. Again, I will bang on and on and on about this. This is great when you have the charger. It is just a micro USB, and they are universal at this point, so it's very good. You might have a couple of other devices that are using this, even down to your phone. Decent enough size. Could have been longer, but definitely matches the aesthetic of the device itself. But they didn't give us the actual plug, so without the plug, I have to go chasing around getting my hands on one of these, or your local version of that. You know, I know I have some international viewers out there. Shout out to my people in India and Europe and all over. You know, the Beard Gang is international at this point. Not a huge deal. You can always switch this out. It just plugs in here. right at the bottom and goes straight in there, and this goes into anything that you have a USB. What I did notice is it says that it is waterproof. Doesn't say water resistant, which means it should be safe to use it in the shower, but I don't like the fact that they don't have a plug for this part here. Usually when they are waterproof devices, they'll have some kind of way to plug this up. You wouldn't want to get water in there even though the rest of the device does look to be waterproof. So just use that with caution. Even though it says waterproof in the instructions, it doesn't tell you something crazy like, you know, it can be fully submerged. So I think they're making much more reference to you can run this underwater, or, you know, it's safe to have water get on the body of the device, but you're not gonna want to get water into this area here. What I did notice as we get into what came in the box, so this will be your 0, this will be a 1.5. I'll open up the other two combs, 9mm and 12mm, and we also have a 3 and 6. There is the innovation of the comb system that goes in both directions, which means you have less combs. I do like that because it saves space and it doesn't make it so convoluted as far as getting these things in. It looks like they just clip straight on. I'm gonna show you up close. There are two little grooves here that the combs seem to latch right into, and it is a snug fit. You don't have any issues there. Clearly marked what number is to which direction, so you can use it on this side or snap it off, and just make sure that it clicks. Can be a little bit to make sure that it clicks into place, but when it is clicked into place, it is very sturdy. There is no rock to that. So far, so good. Very clear branding on there. There's your Manspot on the back here. It does tell you your battery information, made in China, and it tells you again that it is waterproof. Note, this is strictly forbidden for use with alcohol, gasoline, or any dilutants. We're gonna turn this on for the first time here and see how quiet it is. It does boast on the box that it is very quiet. And it is a decent amount of quiet to it. And considering that this is a trimmer, there's always going to be a light buzz to this. Is it super quiet? Is it going to wow you? Probably not, but it's quiet enough. It's definitely not something that sounds like you're in a barbershop. You're definitely not disturbing anyone that's not in the room with you. Yeah, I mean, it does what it says. It's quiet enough. Turning it on, it does look like it only has on and off. And the 3 LED lights that light up here are what I'm hoping that when it charges, let you know in some way or fashion that it is charging or at full charge. So plugging it in for the first time here, and it does have an indicator light. So the 3 lights do let you know when it is charging, and I'm assuming that once it's at full capacity, it will be a full solid light. When in use, all 3 lights just come on. I will definitely try to update the information if I find out, but please comment below. Very lightweight, kind of smooth. I can see where you might would have wanted a little bit more gripping on it. There is a little bit of texture difference, but it seems more of an aesthetic thing than a functional thing. I guess in the areas that you might want to hold it, you will have a decent enough grip. It's not super slippery, but I just wonder if when wet, this is something that you might be considering. You never want to slip with any type of trimmer. You always want to be able to be as precise as possible, and the enemy of any good shave or any grooming with a trimmer is going to be wet hands. So, you know, you want good grip and keep your hands as dry as possible. Opening up everything, I did notice one thing. The instructions do make reference to getting one of those little cheap brushes in there, but I didn't get that included in my box. Hopefully yours will come with it if you don't have anything. I personally am not too bothered by that. I usually just get like a little generic toothbrush, and I use those to clean off the device, and it'll kind of just tell you to do that in the same fashion. There ain't nothing more to this but to get into usage. So let's get into that right now, see how well we like this on the torso, see if it passes the test to even take it below the belt. You know, if it doesn't pass the first level of the test, we definitely will not be moving on with it, and I will be totally honest about how well the safeguard works on it. Let's get into that now. All right, so fair warning, the dad bod is out. The hamburger meat is on the loose, and we're gonna get into a little bit of the chest. turning it on and using it for the first time. I'm gonna try it in a couple different directions. So going in a downward motion, which is usually how they direct you to use these devices in the direction the hair grows, I feel absolutely no hair tugging. The zero is a very smooth shave. I feel like this is a very smooth feeling to it, very easy, no nicking, no hair tugs, so definitely passes the test. Let's really put it to a test by going in the other direction now and try and see what happens that way. And going in the other direction, I have to say that, again, little to no resistance, very smooth feeling. Doesn't feel like I'm getting any hair tugging or anything that I'm concerned with. And it is very quick to use. So this is not gonna take 90 minutes to get through, even like me, where you have hair and belly, even back maybe, all the sensitive areas. It's very simple, no hair tugging, no pulling. That's what we like to hear and like to see. It does pass the test to move into the sensitive areas. I'm gonna try that off camera, of course, and just let you guys know how that works out. All right, so we did take it below the waist and it did still pass the test. I do have one suggestion to anyone that does want to check this out. This can go with any body trimmers. What I would warn is to test out the clips and make sure that you know the length that you are seeing on there. You will always see numbers on here like 12 and 9 millimeters, 6 millimeters. But if you really want to be able to control and not just have everything down to a baldy using the zero, you want to test the combs in different areas. I put on the 3 millimeter thinking I was just going to leave a little bit of hair behind, and I was actually shocked at how low the 3 millimeter was. So by the time I put on the 1.5, it was basically leaving behind what looks like maybe a 5 o'clock shadow. And then of course the zero is the closest thing to a fixed blade shave that you're going to get. Test out the larger combs. It might seem like the largest comb might seem excessive, but if you really want to leave some hair behind and just be able to do some fade work, start at the large one and work your way down. With that said, let's get into the final analysis if this Manspot makes the cut. All right, so we're back in the robe, and if you made it this far, I commend you. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, stay in tune. I promise you, I stay with my clothes on in most of my reviews. What do I think of the Manspot trimmer? Getting the cons out of the way, I'm not a super big fan of how they went about getting the combs on there, the guards. They are pretty secure when they are on there. It's just the clip system does take a little bit of getting used to, and you can slip and not put it on properly. So always check that it's in there. When it is on there, it is on there pretty sturdy. The placement of the power button. There were 1 or 2 times that I found that trying to get a good grip on this, because it's not a huge device, I did accidentally bump into pressing this button. It's not raised or anything like that, so it's not a really sensitive button, but it's just by accident your hand can reach it. The other thing that I did not like is, even though it boasts being waterproof, is that of course they didn't plug up that area there, so I don't know if I trust that to be fully waterproof, but it's inconsequential. I'm not really the type to go into a bath. We're not jumping in the jacuzzi and shaving, so it's not a huge deal, but it is something to know. Again, I will always have my little pet peeve with them not having the adapter in there, even though I understand why they don't. But that's pretty much it when it comes to the negatives. Now getting into the positives, and the positives are positives that it shares with a lot of devices. You're going to have to consider something that most companies are not going to want you to consider first, which is the price point. The price point on this is what I think is one of the most attractive parts. Why do I say that? Well, because a lot of these devices will deliver on what they promise, which is a decent enough safeguard. In this case, I will give them special credit. I have used one or two of these trimmers before and felt like it was a little too harsh. It doesn't feel like the blades are overly aggressive, overly sharp, and you're not leaving any nicks or micro cuts behind. So it does what it promises. To be fair, in the market, a lot of them do what they promise. So one of the more attractive parts is this is relatively inexpensive. Sure, they don't tell you how long it's going to take to charge, but with the LED lights on the front, you can at least tell where you are. It doesn't have other speeds or anything like that. But to be honest with you, when you're talking about body grooming, you're doing a little bit of manscaping, I don't think you really care too much about it getting too fancy. And that's what I liked about that. They just delivered on the simple things that you want to get done here. It is not a flawless device, but it is delivering a cut which is similar, if not better, than some way more expensive models out on the market, with it boasting to at least be waterproof. Caveat, keep the water out of the charger port. That means that you really are overspending if you go into the other ones. The price point is going to be one of the best features that this boasts. Yes, it has the combs. Yes, it has the micro USB universal charger. It does boast being waterproof, but in all reality, a lot of these trimmers boast the same features. It's just that a lot of them boast those same features for a lot more money. This one is one of the better ones that I've had as far as the safeguard. I really did put it to the test when I went below the waist and put it in some sensitive areas and went in multiple directions, got really into the business, and didn't feel any nicks or any points where I felt like I was getting cut by the device. That's pretty much all you really want from this. As far as the smoothness of the shave, I felt like it did a really good job. The thing that I have to say, this one does what you are asking from it without having a heavy tax on the wallet. It keeps the trimming to the hair and not to your bank account, and I know everybody out there can appreciate that. The Manspot does make the cut, is worth a purchase, is worth checking out on your own, even if it's just a secondary device to be able to travel with. But I am interested in seeing what you guys think of this one. Have you gotten your hands on this Manspot device? Is there anything else you see from Manspot that you're interested in seeing me check out? Remember to check the links below. You can always check out Manspot that way, and also at the same time show your support for this channel and reviews like this. Until the next time we're cutting up, stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next one.